Hello, this is Emily at Inflatable Kayaks, and we have got some beautiful kayaks for you. So you're looking for something stable, something for short trips. So what we look for there is something that's going to be quick, fairly quick to set up and pack away. Stable, short trips, lightweight for your motorhome. So something that packs down nicely and isn't too heavy. And maybe something that's going to fit your 11-year-old grandchild. So we'll see how we go with that. That one's actually going to make things a little bit tricky, so we'll see how we go. So the first two that I'm going to look at for you, one is the AdvancedFrame Sport, one is the AdvancedFrame Ultralite. These two kayaks, is this yellow one and this green one, they're the same length, the same width. Reasonably small, compact kayaks. The difference is the weight. So the AdvancedFrame Sport is about 11.5 kilograms. The Ultralight, they have made the same length, same width, but with different materials. It's quite a new kayak, and and a slightly different interior design. And with that design, what they've been able to do is get it down to 8 kilograms, and it packs down flatter. The material's not quite as it folds easier than PVC does. So it packs down a bit better. Now, these two kayaks are both magnificent kayaks for you in terms of their paddling. So you don't have a huge amount of experience, you said, and you want something nice and stable. So they're both fairly wide with a reasonably flat hull. So they're very, very stable kayaks. Like, you could have a sleep in them. They're that stable. So that's not an issue. They are both beautiful to paddle because they have aluminium ribs. So this is a patented design from Advanced Elements. They've got aluminium ribs in the bow and the stern. It's the same with this one. And what it means is you get this beautiful vertical bow and stern that cuts through the chop. So you see that at the front. The bow is in the water. Now, he's paddling, he's nicely balanced in the kayak, which is a really key thing that you need to achieve. You don't want to be sitting too far back, or else your bow is up out of the water. When it's up out of the water, it waggles. So what we want is it in the water, cuts through the chop, and kind of holds the kayak so that it doesn't swagger from side to side. And then you get a beautiful glide, and it's really just a lovely, lovely experience. Now, the one at the back, the aluminium rib at the back, means that you get like a skeg effect. It kind of draws the water behind, so you get this beautiful tracking. Now, that's too far back. See how her bow is out of the water. So you want to be a bit further forwards in the kayak than that. You can see the tracking there. Now, there's also a fin on the hull. It's not something you have to install. And you don't actually have to install the ribs either. They're just part of the kayak. They're inside. You would never really see them necessarily. You don't install them. They're just there. You literally unfold and inflate. So it's a delightful paddle. It's not our fastest kayak. Our fastest kayak is this one up here, the Air Fusion Evo. But I wouldn't be selling this one to you, because if you're going out for a very short trip, this one takes longer to set up. The Sport is beautiful for setup. It's 4 minutes and 10 seconds. This one's a little bit longer just because it has a foam floor and an aluminium deck riser, but it's still like 5-6 minutes. You know, it's not a long, complicated setup. In fact, the setup for these is really, really simple. All you do is you unfold it, you inflate the one main inner tube, you inflate the floor, which is kind of like a lilo, and you clip in the seat. There's a couple of little deck inserts there, and then there's little deck lifts, which are like one breath of air if you want them. But that's it. Really uncomplicated setup, and it's a really, really popular feature of this kayak. The other reason I wouldn't sell this one to you is you're looking for something stable, and this one's a bit narrower and longer. Narrower and longer means it goes faster, but it's not as stable. Okay, so these two are a really nice middle point where you get beautiful performance, like they just glide beautifully, but you get that nice, quick setup and stable, easy paddle. Okay, so the difference between these two is basically weight. There's, like I said, this one's slightly longer for setup. It's the performance of this one on the water is slightly better, but it's very marginal. The Sport's slightly better, but there's not much in it, especially at your weight. You'll be fine in either of these. And your height, by the way, is also fine in either of these. So it's really that weight. Do you want to pay a bit more to get less? It's kind of like smartphones, you know, the more you pay, the smaller they are. Depends what you need, basically, for your camper van. It's up to you to consider that. This one we sell a lot of, like very, very popular. It just hits that perfect point. This one we sell quite a few of, but not as many as the Sport yet. Partly because it's just new. It's a new model. Now, in terms of the 11-year-old, so what we've got in here, and this probably shows it really well, is a fairly wide open cockpit on both of these. So I've got room behind me there, and then quite a bit of room in front, and there's a picture with dogs. Here we go. Let me pull up this one. These two have the Ultralight and Sport have the same size cockpit, by the way. So you can see you can fit a dog in there, right? So that suggests that you might be able to fit an 11-year-old, but it would be a real squeeze. You also want to check the weight of the 11-year-old. So you need to add that weight onto the maximum weight of the kayak, if that makes sense. And you might be starting to max it out even if you had space. So maximum weights are down here. It's something like 113. Yep, 113 for the Sport. And then it is maximum capacity 102 for the Ultralight. So that might be something to check, but it's going to be a squish. Like, don't think that it's not designed to take 2 people, and 11-year-olds girls are pretty well, can be adult sized. I was basically the same size I am now when I was 11. So it's going to be a squish. The flip side is you could get one of these convertibles, which allows you to go solo sometimes and then tandem other times. But I don't want to sell that to you because this is a 24 kilogram kayak. And if you're most of the time going to be going solo, you're much better off to get something that's nice and easy to pick up and carry and handle, which is these two here, the AdvancedFrame Sport and the AdvancedFrame Ultralight, if that makes sense. So that's sort of a decision that you'll have to have a think about. Now, we sell packages because you also have a choice of paddles and you have a choice of pumps and you have a choice of PFDs as well. I'll bring up the PFDs. Now, a couple of really popular ones, but we just so you understand though, we do custom packages, so you just tell me what you want and I do a deal for you. We always do a deal on packages. So light and easy is really popular. It's the AdvancedFrame Sport with a foot brace. The foot brace has this sort of rounded end that goes in the rounded end of the kayak, gives you a flat surface to brace your feet against, and for a lot of people that gives them really good back support, and that's a critical sort of feature for a lot of people. They don't want their backs to be strained when they're out paddling. So that's a popular one. And then you get an additional seat with this one that has a lumbar support cushion. So this is the standard seat is still a nice high back seat, and it's, if you get the angle right, if you sit in it with the right angle, it's very supportive. This one is the same seat but with a lumbar support cushion, so you can literally blow up the lumbar to get more support as you're paddling. It's great. You get the 4-part touring paddle. This is a very popular paddle that we sell because a lot of the 4-part ones in the market, the cheaper ones, they're kind of nasty because they rattle when you paddle. Like, they're not a snug fit. This one has snug fits between all 4 parts. It's really, really good. And it's lightweight. So again, there's a lot of joins and they become heavy, but this one's not. This one's pretty good. You get a foot pump because you can stand upright and pump. It's great. A pressure gauge. You always want the best pressure in this kayak because if you underinflate it, it sags in the middle. And I didn't mean to click on that. Stop. It sags in the middle and you just don't get good performance. So it's good to get a pressure gauge. So that's a really popular package. Flying solo is a popular package. It's the AdvancedFrame. Now, I didn't mention this one to you because it's heavier. It's a 16 kilogram kayak. The reason you would buy it is that it allows you to have this cockpit with coaming that you can then put a spray skirt on. And it just opens up the climates and the temperatures at which you can go kayaking. You can go in Arctic waters, right? It also comes with a drop stitch floor. The drop stitch floor just basically gives you better performance and rigidity in the kayak. Now, that one may be a bit, if you're just a beginner, you may sort of say, well, I'll come back. You can always buy the drop stitch floor later, right? And this one would be no good for the 11-year-old because there wouldn't be enough space in that cockpit. So that was the other reason I didn't mention that. But what you could do is get the AdvancedFrame Sport or the AdvancedFrame Ultralight with this package here, Beginner's Choice, which is a really simple package. It's the kayak, it's a paddle, it's a foot pump, a pressure gauge, and a dry bag set. So again, we sell a lot of this package as well. Now, the only other thing you want to consider, I mean, we sell heaps of awesome bags, we sell anchors, we sell sails, we sell everything, right? But if you just want to get going, the thing you need is a PFD. These two are the same, it's just $20 more for pockets, basically. So if you look at the design, it's really nice because it's been designed by a kayaker. They got these wide open armholes, really, really good. No bulk around the shoulders, no bulk under your arms. There's a hinge for your torso, and then it's nice and sleek. Really good quality too, good quality zippers, good quality fabric, because these things take a beating, especially with salt water. Now, they're sized based on weight, so you would need to have a look at this and think about, well, how much weight am I carrying on my belly to kind of decide what size you might want to go for, and let me know if you want me to put that into your package as well. Okay, so I hope this helps, but yeah, a couple of good options for you, really good options for you. The decision you need to make is, are you prepared to take a solo kayak and have the real convenience of something lightweight, because these are both really lovely lightweight kayaks, but you maybe can't fit your grandchild into, or it would be a squeeze to fit your grandchild into. The decision between these two, the AdvancedFrame Sport and the AdvancedFrame Ultralite, is purely, am I prepared to pay a bit more to get something that's even lighter, 8 kilograms versus 11.5 kilograms. And then the other decision is, if you were to think about this one, which I, like I said, hadn't mentioned because you wouldn't fit the grandchild in the cockpit, do you think you'll ever, in your camper van, be going somewhere where it's going to be cold? Or do you think you might ever get to open ocean? If so, you may wish to get this one with the cockpit, so that you can later on buy a skirt, if you want to buy a skirt, and take it out in those colder climates. So that's your decision. Let me know which way you're thinking of, and what I can do is put together a little custom package for you with a quote. It's no obligation. We do it for everybody, and at least then you know what your options are. So I hope this helps. Please get in touch if you have any questions. This is Emily at Oz Inflatable Kayaks.